Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream. Yeah, welcome. So we'll do the normal thing that I ask. If you can let me know if audio's okay, music level's okay, etc. And we'll just give it a couple of minutes and we can start. So hopefully we'll get a little bit done today. I've got a plan of where I want to be by the end of this stream, so that we can dedicate the next stream to wiring. So we'll get hopefully to that stage today. Yeah, we'll just see how we go. Hopefully the chat is all working all right. I was playing with something and I'm not sure if it works or not, so I'll kind of let you guys tell me. I might just open up my own channel. I'll try to open up my own channel and just see what it's doing. Yeah, we should be good. Now what I've done to the chat. Might have broken it. Let me just see if I can fix this, guys. I think I know what the problem is. But let me see. So if I take this, just bear with me a second, everyone. And this. There we go. It's got that back anyway. Okay, so let's just begin. So basically, I've got the wrong manual up there. So the first thing I think we're going to do today is basically carry on with the manual, because obviously last week we run the belts, we got the gantry all done, got that installed, ran the belts. I have now tightened the belts so they're where I want them to be. Everything still runs smoothly and level and everything. So one thing I have done is I've removed the end stop here, because that actually came out a little bit further than the other side. So what that meant was that when I pushed this all the way back, I felt a little bit of a rack, because this side didn't quite go back as far. So I've just removed it, and because I'm not going to be using end stops, it shouldn't make any difference. So yeah, so we can basically carry on from where the manual tells us, which is the print bed. So basically what we're going to do, I've already prepared the bed, so this part is done. I will bring that over so we can have a look at it. So we've just got a few more extrusions left, and then all the extrusions will also be used up. So here's the bed as it is right now. What I've actually done today is set up the other camera, so I can switch over to that camera and you can see what I'm doing. So the Fysetc bed, because this is a slightly older kit, doesn't assume that you're going to be using Wago connectors, but we are. So we're going to have to sort of work out what we're going to be doing with wiring and stuff. I'm probably going to have to cut, well, I will have to cut wire and put more connectors on, etc. So let's see what the manual tells us. So the manual is now going to tell us that we need whoops, that was the wrong screen, sorry about that. Let's put that on the right screen, that one, there we go. So the manual is going to tell us that we need to have an earth wire attached. So let me grab some wire from next door and see what Fysetc provide. Let me just get this in the right place. Okay, so yeah, so you're correct. Like I was saying, this is the older kit, so that they assume you're not going to use them. I knew that I was going to be using them, so I have printed a part. However, I'm not going to be using the part from the Voron repo. I'm going to be using this part because the one on the let me see if I can find it. The one on the Voron GitHub basically is just 3 Wago bases. It assumes that you're not going to be detaching the thermistor, and then run that in the cables, but I thought that was weird. So I found this one on Printables, which basically gives us our 3 Wagos. So we've got our basically each side of the bed connection, the earth cable connection, and then these 2 JST connectors will be for our thermistor. So we'll be using this one, and then you probably won't be able to see it, but the 2 JST terminals are just soldered with wire together so that they're basically joined. Is this one that attaches Nevermore under the bed? So I haven't decided where I'm going to attach the Nevermore yet, and I actually haven't printed it yet either, so this will just be purely for the bed part of it. So I've unpacked basically all of the boxes that came in with the kit to just see what we're dealing with. So if we get all of these out of the way, these are the main power cables, so that would be our socket, which we're not using, although we might use the wires off it. And then it looks like this long yellow one here is our bed protected earth, I should say, and it does say BPE, which would be bed protected earth. So yeah, so as you can see, this is a massive wire which would go in cable chains. We are not going to be using cable chains, so we will just, and also this hasn't got a ring terminal on, this has got a fork terminal. So take that as you will. So we'll attach this. So we want an M3.6 for this. So where can I put this little tray? See if we can go next to it a bit. There we go. So M3.6 of these ones, I believe. So I have also obviously connected the thermal fuse, which you can see here, and what I'm not sure what size. I think I used an M3.8 for that, and then also a washer on the top to go against the hole. So this M3.6 would go in this hole here, and then we'd put the fork terminal in there. So let me get an Allen key. And if you're looking for a set of Allen keys, these are the M8 and washer goes there. Yeah, so if you're looking for a set of Allen keys, where are Allen keys? There's a link in the description if you're thinking about getting some. So that would just connect to there. Now, how well that is, I don't know, but it's not really, it shouldn't come loose or anything like that. So I think we could perhaps put a washer, but all that's really going to do is, yeah, we could have a look. Let's have a look what size washer we want for that. An M3 washer, perhaps. See what that looks like. And I think these are both the same, so it doesn't really matter which side we, which end we use. We want to try and lift that washer up and just get the fork terminal underneath it. I don't think it's going to do a lot for us, but we'll use it anyway. Making sure that we sort of have room around this hole, which is going to be where we mount the bed. Did you sleeve your A and B wire, motor wires? Not yet, because so this kit comes with detachable A and B motor wires. So at the moment they are literally just still in this bag. So yeah, they're literally still in this bag. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Probably will sleeve them. The kit does come with some sleeving, but I haven't really looked at it yet. So that will be the earth wire. Let's page down, see what else we want. So we're not going to be making the ZN stop switch because we're not going to need it. We're going to be using a different probe. I see my 2.4 came with non-detachable wire, so I'm waiting for sleeving from them to come today. Yeah, generally it seems the 2.4 is slightly different. It does come with the attached motors. What I would suggest personally, and it obviously depends where you are with your wiring, is that the motor wires for the A and B on a 2.4 will need to be extended anyway. I don't know if you found that. Hello Richard. So what I did on my 2.4 is actually, I don't know, maybe, I'm trying to think how much sort of a distance, maybe 50 mil of wire coming out of the motor. I then cut and put connectors at that end, which means if you needed to change a motor, you can just unplug it and detach it. Whereas if you run the cable all the way through the cable chain and then extend it at the other end, you've basically got to undo all of that, or ultimately cut the wire out the motor anyway. So you could do that at this stage. That's what I did on my 2.4. So right, so it's now talking about the Wago thing, which we've got. Right, so we now need to build the frame that the bed is going to sit on, and we'll come back to wiring, how we're going to deal with that in a second. So let me put the bed down here. Let's get these bits of extrusion, which we're going to need. What connectors would you use for that? For the A and B motors, I used Microfit 3 connectors. Obviously the plug and the male and female ends. Yeah, that's what I used. Have I got any here to show? Might have. So I used, not sure if I've got any 4-way ones left. Yeah, I haven't. So if you wish I had thought of that one doing mine. Yeah, it because I knew they were going to need to be extended, I just did it. If you, let me see if I can get this so you can actually see. If you assumed that these were 4-way and not 3, these would obviously work with your motors. I think I put this end on the motor, but I can't honestly remember. And then it's just a much nicer connector to have near the motor. I basically wouldn't use like a JST header, because you're gonna have to solder wire onto it, and you're just asking for trouble. You really want a crimped connector. And because I had those connectors, I think they actually, so why is this not going in? My 2.4 was a Cyborg kit, which has changed a little since I got mine, but mine came with those connectors, and I'm not sure if they do now, but mine also came with like some crimping tools and some other bits and bobs. So yeah, so if you haven't done that yet, I would do that. Just gonna make it easier, really. Right, so we need our extrusions basically. So we need our smaller one, and we need to put an M516, which is an M516, which is one of these, and we'll put a bit of Loctite on as well. No, I'm not going to put the Stealth Max. It just looks ginormous. I'll probably just use the V6, but I haven't really decided yet on what what system I'm going to use. I will definitely be putting a filter in, but I haven't decided which. Right, so we need to put that in there a little bit, and then we're going to be putting that onto our other remaining extrusion, which has got the hole in. So the hole obviously needs to face out, and then we just need to put that in here, and then we can lay them down onto the desk. And need to get an Allen key. Although I would like to hear if you have used the Stealth Max, then by all means let me know what you think of it. So we'll just tighten that up a little bit. It's probably not the best. Hello, the W. nice to see you. Let's get one out of here. Okay, so this is telling us we need, and you probably won't be able to see it from that view, but the manual up here says that we need 175mm. Now obviously that is for a 250. So I think we added, did we add 50 last time? Or 25, I can't remember. It looks like we had 25, so it should be 200 either side. I'm not sure if my V6 that came with the kit has bad carbon pellets because I can still smell stuff coming out of the enclosure. That either means your enclosure isn't tight and like airtight enough. Generally, a kit, an Evermore kit, filter, the carbon it comes with is not really the good stuff. I would personally, if I buy, like I am thinking of buying the Fysetc V6 kit purely for the parts, the fans, the heat sets, the screws, whatever, and then I'll use the carbon, the Nevermore carbon that I've already got, which is like the proper stuff. So according to my ruler, we need about 200 on each side, and then that should be roughly in the middle, which is more or less where it is. So we'll just tighten that up a little bit more and double check. Yeah, I think what he means, Richard, by bad is that the proper stuff is, I can't remember what the term is now, but at the end of the day it's a consumable anyway. Yeah, it's a consumable anyway, so after, I think it says like, is it 30 hours or whatever of print time, or 50 hours and then 30 days, I can't remember, but it is something that you would need to replace anyway. So I would put, that's it, acid washed. I knew there was something. So we've just tightened this up to, I think, where we want it. I mean, if you like, I've got a filter in every printer I've got, so I will go through that stuff pretty quick. Printers that I'm not using and I'm not intending to use for a little while, I've like took the carbon out. But if you're using a printer a lot, then you will need to change it. So we've done that, we've put basically the crossbar in, but now we need to load some nuts. So we need, looks like we need 2 M5 nuts at each end. So let's do those first, making sure that each nut has got its ball in, because we have lost some. And we have basically go to the hole on the outside and then the hole to the inside. Yes, like 30 to 100 hours of print that you need to replace it, but bags that come with the kit didn't do much about the smell. So yeah, so it could be that either your enclosure is not sealed up enough, or and some ABS does smell a lot worse than others, which is one thing I would say. So let's put the last 2 of these in. That's lost its ball. So this is basically all of the holes pointing towards the end of the extrusion, and then we'll put that M3 in as well, and then we'll go back and put the M3s in the other part. like that. So we've got all the nuts in there. It's PLA, not even ABS. PLA, I mean, yeah, I mean, you don't really need, you shouldn't need a filter for PLA anyway. So that's an odd one. PLA's got like a bit of a sweet smell, I find. So we need to add some other T-nuts. So we need roll-in nuts. So we want some M3s. They are here. I'll tell you what it could be, is it could be the magnet rather than the filament. Those magnets do, I mean, how long have you been printing on this printer? So I'm just making sure I've got the things in the right place. So these are going to go like this, and then on the other side we want 2 M5s, like a week. Right, so I reckon it's the magnet rather than the filament. But it's been like that since day one, so I'll double check everything. Yeah, so I reckon it's the magnet. That does sort of wear off after a while. Either that or I've just got used to mine. So that should be all of those ones in. Let's go to the next page. Right, so that's all of them in. And now we need to prepare some more printed parts. So let's just put this to one side a second. And then get our printed parts. So we'll get all of what I think we're going to need out. But it's because it's made from cornstarch, so it's like, it is like a sweet smell. I got those thingies out earlier, did I not? Or did I put them back? Just bear with me a second. Just got to find the thingies. Okay, so these are what I was talking about, the bearings. So, what are we going to need here? Some M36s, so let's get those out. Which are those, I think. Just measure them, make sure. Yep. And then the first part we want is this part. And I might just get... Right, we should be good. Okay. So what we've got to basically do now is put one of these GE5C bearings into this hole. We push that in. And then the M3 screws are basically just going to be threaded into the plastic to sort of retain it. It's not structural in any way. So we'll just thread these in. You want to make sure that they go in straight. Do you not add washer before that? The picture doesn't show that we add any washers, so I'm going to assume we don't. It should line up with the edge of the bearing, so we shouldn't need to add a washer. You probably could if you wanted to. Like, I'm not saying don't, but the manual doesn't say that we have to. If I get one in, we can see exactly how much overhang of the head of the bolt goes over the bearing. I mean, it's very, well, it's minuscule in fact, but right, if it does fall out, you can add a washer later. True, but then you don't really want it to fall out in the first place, so it might be a good idea to add. It wouldn't have enough washers in the kit anyway, so it should be okay. I'll get the screws in, and then if we can push the thing out, then we know that we need to find some washers. So you don't want to be doing these too tight. These are just, like I say, threading into plastic. So no, not too many ugga-duggers. So by the end of today, if you weren't here at the start of the stream, what I would like to be able to do is get to the stage where next week we're basically ready to wire up. So by the end of today, I would like to have built the Stealthburner. This isn't really going to take us long, and then maybe even have a look at, or hopefully have a look at, placement of stuff in the electronics bay. Yeah, I can't push that bearing out, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's fine. So that's that one done. Now it wants us to actually install it first, which is a little odd, but we'll do that if that's what it wants us to do. We'll grab our frame back, and this is going to go in this bottom corner here, and that wants us to use M510s, which are these ones, I think. You got RPI version of CAN, or that old one that uses mini JSTs? No idea what that means. If you can word that differently so I can get what you're talking about. Now, does this go right on the end? It does. So what we'll do, if we put this one in first, then we can move it to the next hole. And then I think we just want it to have it flush with this end. Like that. And then we're now doing the back one. I'll just leave the frame here, I think. So Basically the same procedure again. We put our bearing in. CAN bus board 2209 from BigTreeTech has RPI chip, or you're going to use older version which has smaller JSTs that nobody liked. Yeah, so I'm not using the RP 2040. I've got the 2209, which has got, like you say, small JSTs, but we'll give it a go. So again, we put that one in there, and then screw these in to retain it. I think also the 2240 non-R Raspberry Pi version has got overheating issues as well. But I think the 22i9 should be okay, from what I've read anyway. Big oof, I got it day one and it didn't come with any extension wires. Well, tune in next week when I'm going to be doing crimping, because I might be crying as well, but we'll see. Yeah, the 2240. I actually like doing the crimping. It's one of my favourite bits, so the wiring is my favourite part. Soldering and crimping are my two favourite things. So maybe I'm a little weird. Like I made the Stealthburner LED harness up the other day. I really enjoyed doing that. I don't mind crimping JST XM or PH and placement. Oh, awful. Well, we'll see. They do look rather small, but we'll see. I mean, it all really depends on the thickness of the wire that you're putting in them. So, which might be an issue with the kit, because obviously this doesn't, the kit from Fysetc doesn't expect us to be using that. So I may have to source some other wire, but we'll see. Right, so that's that one on. Next page. So we then install that in the end. I think I'll turn that around. So this goes like that, and then the same procedure. Use these so how does this one go for placement? I guess we can determine that later. I don't know. Well, there is a stop on the oh yeah, okay. There's a sort of a bit of a stop on the actual printed part, so it can't go any further than that. Okay. And then obviously we do the last one, so I'll turn that around now so that I can get to it. Then we'll do our last bearing. There we go. Yes, so I've got some other small crimping ahead of me anyway, haven't I, Richard? So we'll see how we get on with the can board. Better grab a quick drink. The other ones are huge in comparison. Oops. So let me just have a quick look so I can remember what the name is. If you want a huge JST connector, you want a JST VH. That's what the Duet uses for heater ports, and those things are huge. VH, Volkswagen H. I think they're, oh, I'll have a look on the box. 3.96mm pitch. Look at them bad boys. Huge. And that's the plug they go in. And then you've got the header. Yeah, they are beefy. They almost look like Molex connectors. No, they're JST. Yeah, you're probably thinking of like the pins that are in ATX connectors and stuff. So, interesting little story. My tool changer, which is sort of behind the camera, I bought that as a motion system rather than a kit. So it didn't have any electronics with it, but my plan was to put Duet 3 board in anyway, which I had. The problem is the wiring that comes with the tool changer, which still comes in the motion kit, is all for the Duet 2 Wi-Fi. So I basically had to redo all of the connectors on the board side when I put that Duet 3 in. So I got a lot of practice doing crimping. So last one goes this way. Okay, so that's that in. Now it wants us to put it actually on the bed, so let's get the screws we need. So we want M516s, which is these. Yep. Not on the bed, on the printer, I should say. So I will switch back to the main camera because you won't be able to see it on that one. So basically we've just got to maneuver it into, what I might do before I do that, if we go, whoops, wrong button. What I might do is put the Wago thing on first, because otherwise you're trying to do it when it's on, and that's not going to work for me. So we'll put this on first. Now, first problem, well not problem, first change we're going to have to make is that this has got M5 screw rolling nuts in, but obviously this is not the Voron part, so we've got to take these out and put some M3s in. So let's get those out before I forget. I could just slide that out at the end, I notice. So we'll put this on first. Because I think that will be easier to put on now than it will be to put it on later. Then I'm also going to make sure I put it the right way up. And then we'll see what screws we need. So probably M3/8 should do, yep. So let's put one of these in. Maybe we do. There we go. Might have to just take that off and move the other thing out. Move that way down there. I'll leave that a little bit loose so that I can adjust it, but I've put that on now just because I think it'll be easier to put on now than it will be later. So these are obviously going to be for our bed to sit on, so we'll have to adjust those in a bit. Let's go back a couple of pages. So we've got to put this on with these. We've also got to remember to put those M5 nuts in that we took out, or that fell out I should say, when we were assembling the first time. So we know this one has got one in, so we can drop that in. We might even have to put our finger under there just to don't know if that's catched in the nut or not. Caught in the nut, I should say. There we go. But I have no idea how much engagement we're supposed to get, how tight it's going to be. this might be a little bit tricky to do, just like that. See if I can just move this a little bit. So we'll just get a little bit of thread engagement and then we can find out how much we're supposed to have. There we go. And then the last one at the back. So I'm guessing here that this probably needs to move a little bit. So let's just move that carriage out of the way and undo these a little. And I can push that forward slightly. And then that nut fell down a bit easier. That bolt, sorry. So the next step is actually a strange one, because it tells us to, you should be able to see the screen from there, basically undo these. So I've just undone that one anyway. We'll undo them a little bit more. Undo these ones. And again, I don't know, does anyone know how height we're supposed to do the side ones here? I guess we're supposed to do them up all the way. Does the Trident bed get installed like the 2.4 bed? By that I mean yes. So you're not supposed to tighten them all down at any point. They should never be all tight. You should tighten one down and then the others are sort of, basically, if you was to spin the Allen key or with the bolt on in your fingers, and then when it stops, when it's basically fully engaged but you haven't tightened it, you then just want to back off ever so slightly. And that's basically so that when the bed does heat up, that it can expand a little. So just bear with me a second, guys. I'm just gonna put you over to this screen, the be right back screen, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. I was getting way too hot, so I had to take my jumper off. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I think I need to tighten these down more. But there's nothing to really tell you if you are supposed to tighten them all the way down. I'm just going to assume that we are. But not like super tight, just mostly tight. So what we then do, apparently, according to the manual, done it again, is that we loosen and retighten. Loosen the bolts that hold the bed frame to the printed parts and gently shake the frame before retightening them. So I don't know what that actually means, but we'll assume that that's it. And then we have to then retighten these back down. And I assume that's so that basically everything can get aligned, but I don't know. And again, sort of not like super tight with these. If you hear the plastic crack, you've gone too far. But in answer to, but to also expand on your question, Todd, the Trident is the same. We'll see that when we come to it a little bit later. That it will say about the tighten one screw and yeah, blah blah blah. So what we're going to do, I'm just thinking if I want to reposition this now. Well, let's see how it goes. So basically what it's saying is that we need our three thumb screws. And this is something that catches a lot of people out. So these are M4 thumb screws, but we're not using them in their capacity as a nut or a screw. We're literally using them as spacers. So they'll sit above the places that the bed is going to sit, and then just act as a spacer. So we're also going to want some M316s, but it also says, I think somewhere, let me see if I can find that. I'm sure it was in this. Oh, I'll tell you why, what's happened here. This is the wrong manual. So let me just open the correct manual. Not that it shouldn't make much difference, but I'm sure I opened this earlier today, so it should have been right. Yeah, so this procedure might be a little bit different. The manuals have changed. Hopefully not too dramatically different, but yeah, so variable screw length. So if your bed is thicker, then you might need longer screws. So we'll see, we'll put it on and we'll just see how it looks basically. And then down here, you probably won't be able to see it on the screen, but it says don't tighten fully. Only tighten one bolt fully. Leave the remaining bolts slightly loose. This will allow for thermal expansion without putting additional stress on the plate. So for a Trident, you tighten one, leave the other two loose. For a 2.4, it's tighten one, leave the other three loose. So basically the same. So we need to bring our bed over, and we'll do that in a couple of sort of goes, because we're going to need to basically position our thumb screws in the right place. So We'll just rest this down for a second. And just sort of get a rough idea of where these things need to be. Almost, well, I wouldn't say we're almost done, but we're getting there. Definitely getting there. So, I just want to try and position these roughly in the right place. Now obviously the back one we can adjust in a second, so let's take this out again. It is a bit of a pain to be able to move this around with these long wires on, but we'll soon be cutting those, so it will get a little bit easier. So now we can put our thumb screws down, and they go with the larger part of the screw, large part of the thing facing down. And I reckon we're going to need some longer screws, because I'm pretty sure this bed is thicker than it should be, or not that it should be, but so I'm just going to get the 20s out straight away. And then, if I'm wrong, we'll have to get some 16s out, which we have got, so we should be good for either size. So let's now get this bed back over. This is where it gets a little bit tricky to sort of line things up without knocking things off. So we sort of concentrate on the front two first. So they might not actually need the 20s, they might be a little bit long. My 2.4 required M3 by 20, manual said 16, yeah. So let's have a look at this rear one as well. So, I'm not sure what size we're actually going to need for these. I reckon we might actually get away with the 16s. So let's get the 16s out instead. I've got to find the right bag. Because these 20s look way too big. What size is this? Yeah, so I've actually got the wrong ones out. So I've got like 30mm ones out by mistake. That's why they look massively too big. So we'll go with a 20 and see how that goes. And I think so that is too big. So I don't think we want 20s. So let's put those away. And then I'm hoping that these are the 16s here. Yeah, so this is a 16 that we watered here. Now I am going to tighten these down fully for the moment, just while I position stuff, in case I need to flip the printer. And then I'll, obviously when we get a bit further into the build, if I need to, I will need to, I'll undo some of them. This one's not quite in the right place yet, so I'm guessing that that rear T-nut is not in the right place. So let's move this around, and then we'll lift the whole bed up. Right, so I'm going to have to undo these other ones first. Okay. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try and get this rear one on first. It's a little bit fiddly, getting everything to line up properly. Yeah, I'm still missing that rear nut. Okay. Okay, that should be in the right place. There we go, so that one's now in. So we'll now come back and redo these ones. While everything's still a little bit loose, we can still move things around. And the printer is definitely getting a lot heavier now. Now this one's not quite in the right place. What's actually happened is that the lock, the rolling nut basically had come out of the extrusion. Still not playing ball. Needs to go this way a bit. Okay. It's another one of those instances where you need five pairs of hands. Okay, let's try this again. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here, just not wanting to play ball. Let's undo these a little bit so we've got a bit more play. Whew, getting a bit warm in here. Good afternoon, Graham. Late again. What you like? Okay. Try one more time. There we go, that's got it. So let's just go tighten these down for now. Just while we're still potentially moving the bed around and stuff like that. So that the bed is basically now on. We've got a little bit of cable management to do now because there's not a lot of room where the wires and everything come out. So I may have to slightly undo this rear one. Not too much, I don't want to don't want the thing to come out. I just want to pull this earth cable, there we go, past that. And I'm sort of also making sure that none of the wires are pinched or anything like that, which they're not. We'll just tighten that down again. Outside temp here about 21 probably, which means inside it's warmer. I have got temperature things in here. I've got these little round things. That's been in front of my laptop, so that's saying it's 32 degrees. But this one says it's about 23 degrees in here. But these aren't that reliable. So I'll open this door a bit and that'll let a bit of cold air in. Right, so what we basically now need to do is a bit of wire nipping so that we can now how am I gonna, I'm not really gonna about to get a great shot for you guys. I'm just making sure everything sort of where we're going to have those. I think I'm sort of happy with, I might move it down just a bit. Don't know if I want it that far down though. Although we could go with that. Screen froze. Is it back now? I have got a message in there to say it disconnected. But it still says that I'm streaming. You let me know if it's okay. I think we should be okay. I'm just going to tighten the mount for the Wagos. Yep, it's back. Excellent. Hello, colleague. Nice to see you. So, how's it going? Well, we've basically installed the bed so far today. But what we're also going to try and do is now cut some wire to the length we're going to want it. This is sort of a once you've done it, it's too late kind of thing. So if I just grab the other wire that came with the bed. So Fysetc like to use these connectors, which are like, let's see if I can get you a better picture. I zoom the cap. There we go. So it's like, and then the other end would obviously have the mating side, which is fine, but then you've still got this big old long cable. So what I'm going to do is, this will basically be our cable that goes into one side of our Wago. I've just got to work out which wire goes where. So let's sort of progress with the manual a bit and see what it says. So we're not using the, yeah, so if we follow the manual and do the parts that it wants us to do. So we've got our thermal fuse, and what we're going to need to do is basically put the other end of that thermal fuse into one of the Wagos, so we can sort of decide which one we're going to use. Get that cable on the other side if we can. Yep. We have our thermistor and our other wire up there for a second. Get them out of the way. It doesn't really matter which one we use, I don't think, but trying to logically work out which would be the best which one would be the best one to use. Well, we could follow the, yeah, that doesn't really matter. A little bit undecisive at the moment to decide which ones we're going to cut and where. I wonder if I want to change where that earth wire is going, rather than going under the bed, we go behind it. So while we're here, we'll open the Wago connectors up so that they're open at least. We'll just make sure that this bed mount is tight. There we go. Might have been too tight. Right. I say we just cut a wire and live with it, basically. So we're going to have to take this connector off anyway, so let's cut that off. I don't think we can realistically save that connector, so I'm just going to cut it off. We'll cut it off so that we have actually got a bit of length on it if we ever did want to use it. So we'll just cut that off. I am going to move this earth wire. I don't like it. What screw is that? This one. Let me try and undo this screw a bit. I'm going to get that out. I'm just going to undo this screw again, just enough so I can get a bit of height on the bed so I can pull that out. Let's get that out of the way for a second. Make sure we do that up again. Okay. So let's sort of try and do one thing at a time. So I'm going to need some tools out. So we're going to want wire strippers. And we're also going to need, which I probably should have got out before starting today, some ferrules. Now you could obviously put a bare wire into the Wago. I prefer to put a ferrule on the end, but it's entirely up to you really how you do it. And because we've got this spare bit, we can actually find the correct size for our stripper. There you go, perfect. And then we can also find the right size ferrule. And the red one looks to be about the right size. We could potentially go a little bit smaller. Too small. I think red is the one we want. Yep. So what we're going to do is I'm going to strip some wire back on this thing under here. And then obviously put the ferrule on. And then that's that done, and we'll put that in first hole. So that's that done. That's our bed heater out into our thermal fuse, then out of the thermal fuse into a Wago. So that's our first connection basically. So let's also cut these. Let's cut this cable tie because we don't need this. Now, if you're anything like me, you try and save zip ties. Don't ask me why. I just like saving zip ties. So let's get some of these wires out of the way for a minute. This can go over here. You don't need that. And then this can go in our next there you go. I'm going to cut it about there, I think. And again, we'll use the end that we've cut off to find the right size for our thing. That should be good. Now this is going to need a slightly larger ferrule because of the thickness of the wire. I think we are going to need a black one, but we'll try the white one just in case. Oh no, the white one should work as well. That will go into the next Wago connector. That's in there. So we've got to decide what we're going to do with this earth cable. This is a really thick cable, but we should be able to, I think, go this side of the bed, yeah. See if I can get this connector. So what I have to do is just turn this print around a second. Try not to knock everything on the floor. There we go. Which is so let's move this back round. And I think I'm going to cut it about there. So again, we'll just find the right size for our thing. This will be slightly bigger. There we go. Now I like these manual wire strippers. They are a little bit tedious because obviously you have to adjust the hole, but I just find that they're a bit more consistent. I reckon this will be a black, possibly even bigger. Let's see how that goes on there. Yeah, that goes on there all right. So we'll strip the wire first. Wago ferrule on, and then crimp the ferrule, and then this one can go in our Wago connector as well. So we've now got basically our bed heater connected to the Wagos and the earth, which now just leaves our thermistor. So we're going to give this a little bit of room. How much do I want to give it? Let's cut it about there. No, down back. There we go. So we've basically cut. Was this the right one? This amount of wire from the kit. Obviously we'll use this to then go from the bed back down, so we'll keep all of that, and even if we don't use it for that, we'll use it for something. So again, I've got to get the wire stripper to the right place. We've got some slightly smaller connectors to do now. So we'll need, so I use these iWis, or they're called I think they've rebranded these to iCrimp now, but these are iWis 2820Ms, and these are a really good crimper personally. Again, down in the description there's a link to some of these, and it's an affiliate link, so I'll just let you know that. But these are really useful and I use them all the time. So let me also get out the crimps, which I think I'll use the ones from down here. So what we'll do first is we'll strip these two wires. You don't really need to take a lot off, right? I mean, I see a lot of people strip quite a lot off their connector or their wire, and then they put too much into the pin. The pin actually has the spots. Now, did I get? I might have got some out. I can't remember. The place to crimp your wire and the place to crimp your installation. So you don't need too much. These ones should be fine. So I can't really show you, unfortunately. You're doing the thermistor wire, yes. So basically the wiring diagram and the wiring from Fysetc would have no. So the wiring for Fysetc wouldn't have Wagos, but even if we follow the Voron manual, it says that you run the thermistor wire all the way down the cable chain in one piece, which kind of defeats the object of having the Wago connectors in the first place, because the point of the Wago connectors is to be able to take the bed off easier if you need to, but if you've got a thermistor wire going all the way down, you can't. So I found a mount on Printables that has space for JST connectors as well, So yeah, I'm basically putting the thermistor wires into a plug as well. This is a little bit awkward to do under the bed, but we should be good. It's actually a little bit difficult to do under here, but we should be able to do it. That's one on. Yes, exactly, Todd. So the Kirigami bed has you basically separate everything, which you should do. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have Wagos if you're not going to be able to separate the thermistor, in my opinion. So that's exactly what I'm doing. It's a little bit difficult to get and see what you're doing under the bed here, but just trying to make sure that this crimp is done enough. There we go. So we can then, yeah, exactly. So we can then put a connector onto this. I'm going to try and get that into the top of the two connectors if I can. It's proving a little bit difficult, but there we go. So now we've basically got the whole of the bed connected to a connector. So we could put a cable tie around there just to keep all of those together, which I probably will. And what I can do is use the cable tie that I saved earlier. Can you post a link to the Wago STL you used? It may be on Discord, but I can't remember if you posted it. Yep, so it was in the last week's stream. I will get that for you now. I can control the mouse. The only problem with having two screens that are extensions of each other is that the mouse likes to disappear off the screen and you can't find it. So That's the link to the Wago model. No problem. I think it's a really good idea actually, so that's why I wanted to use it in this build. I'll leave that loose, or leave that long. So basically we can even reuse this thermistor wire because it's already got a connector on the end. So this will now go into our other JST housing. Try and get it in. Like that. Got to push that in a bit. There we go. So this can now go basically in the cable chain, and this will all go down into the electronics bay. We can put a ferrule on the end of this and do the same with this one. So that was a black one. That ain't going to come off there. That will go into the other Wago for the earth wire, and then this will go down into the electronics bay, which then leaves us two left. So we've got the one that was coming straight out of the bed, which I believe was this one. Is that right? Yeah, so we can put a Wago on this one. And then this will go in to there, go into the electronics bay, and then the other wire that had the connector on from Fysetc, we can cut this off and put our own Wago on. I think we should have quite a lot here, so I'm going to make this same length that I cut off before, just for no real reason. There we go. And this will have a white connector on as well. And this will go into the last Wago. So we've now basically got the wires that will go in our cable chain, and they'll obviously all follow the path that they're meant to go on. So that's that done. Pretty simple if you think about it. Let me see if I can get you a shot of this, just so you can see what I've done. It might be a little bit difficult, but we'll try. I might have to just prop the printer up for a second. And let's see if I can. No, I don't know if you're about to see that. Right, let me disconnect that close-up camera. And by disconnect I mean unscrew it from the wall. There we go. And then let me show you what that looks like. So hopefully you can see there that we've basically got this group of wires here which will go into the cable chain, and then the wires above are the ones that actually go to the bed. So everything can be easily disconnected, and we could basically take the bed off if we wanted to and not have an issue with basically the wires all still attached. I think it works quite well. Yeah. If you've got any questions about that, please feel free to ask. If I had, ideally, I would have perhaps got rid of the other connector that Fysetc have used for the for the thermal fuse, but it will work and it will do the job, so it's not like the end of the world. So move this around. And those wires can basically stay down there until we need them for when we're doing the wiring. So yeah, it all looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to have a quick tidy up, and then we can perhaps have a look at doing Stealthburner today as well. If you don't own a ferrule tool and ferrules, then it's definitely something I would recommend having a look at. It's a lot better than just having bare wires screwed into terminals. And the reason for that is because if you try and put a wire, just a bare wire, into a screw terminal, and you can't really see what you're doing, or you didn't do anything to the wires, you could have a stray wire come out and short something. Whereas with a ferrule, you obviously put all the wires into that ferrule, and then it just gets crimped up, and yeah, really easy. I got that connector out, so I was going to use it, but we'll probably use that another time. some of these grey wires as well. Okie dokie, right, let's have a look. So if I was to go down a couple of pages in the manual, we would see that the next page is in fact for Stealthburner. So I've got the Stealthburner manual open. We can probably start having a look at this. So I've done basically all the prep work. I've put all the heat sets in, and we're basically now at the stage of where we build the Stealthburner. So let me grab all of the parts and we can have a look at that. I don't know yet which parts I need for the wire management at the back. We'll come to that later. Oh, I've got a spare one of them. I'll get that out now. Get that out. Yeah, these are all sort of bits we might need, but I'm not entirely sure. That's the bit I was looking for. Yeah. And then we need the parts out of here as well. So, the first part we need is this part here. Now, shall I put I'll put the close-up camera back on, I think. What I could actually do is put it a bit lower down. This is why I've got basically like plywood walls, so that I can just screw things to the wall wherever I want, and then it just comes in really handy to have the opportunity to just put things in the wall. So let's move this printer up a bit. Let's have a look what that looks like in terms of a close-up camera. Yeah. That's a bit better. Let's move some of these bits out of the way so you can just see the bit I'm working on. So this is the first part we need. This is basically the guidler arm. So first sort of question I have for chat. I don't know if Richard's still here. Now, where did I put it? Here. I was thinking about using these helical gears from Fysetc rather than nice lows bound. What, the close-up camera, I suppose. So yeah, so these are not the normal. I can grab the ones that we would normally use. Bear with me a second. Which we will need some of these parts anyway. So the normal Bontech type gears are just sort of yeah, I don't know how you would describe them, but I was thinking about using the helical gears because I've not had an opportunity to use them yet, so I thought I might as well. And then I've also got somewhere a black, and then where did I put it? I think I put it in this box. Yeah. like a black main gear, which is sort of like got some cutouts. So I thought I might use that as well, because why not? That's assuming that everything fits together once I start building, of course. So the only problem with this view is you won't be able to see the screen, but the screen really is only for my benefit. So let's get the fixings over as well. So the first thing we need is an M316, which were in this bag, I think, weren't they? I think this was the 16. Let's see. Yep. So this guider arm is actually in 2 pieces, but I've already pushed them together. There's an insert on this side as well. So then this just goes in here, like that. I bought the Fysetc brand Stealthburner kit, but it just had the usual gears in. Yeah. So I think the helical ones are a sort of an aftermarket change, upgrade, whatever you want to call it. They were actually in the 9th anniversary box that they sent me, so I should probably give them a go just to see what they're like. So that's move manual on. So basically we now need to have our little gears. I will need to get the grease out in a second. I do like that they've put most of this stuff in separate bags rather than just shoving it all in one. Put those there, and then I'll get the super lube, which is, I think, down here. Yep. So we'll need a small amount of super lube for the gears. We get another piece of kitchen roll. Okay. Make sure we've got everything we need, and then we'll need the shaft out of here. I thought I saw one. Another bag. No. So we need this small shaft. We'll need the gear without the hole for a set screw, which is this one here. I think these are supposed to be like hardened as well or something. I didn't really look into it a lot. So what we need to do is basically put some grease onto this gear. The way I like to do it is to basically apply a bit to the steel shaft, sort of a generous amount, and then you get the small bearing, and you sort of basically just sort of roll it in it and just try and get it basically as over it as you can. You don't necessarily want to sort of cover it in super lube, but you just want enough to sort of circulate through the bearings. Just like that, and then put the lid on. And then this goes into the gear, so you want to make sure you get any of that grease off your fingers for when you then handle the gear, because obviously this is going to be what eventually goes on the filament. So that then goes in there, and then this has got to then go into our guider arm. So we obviously want the part with the gear. The filament teeth is in one side and the gear in the other, and then you just basically just have to push it in. And it should make a bit of a click like that, and that make sure that that still spins freely. And we'll just make sure that there's no grease or anything on there. Now if this doesn't fit, because I did try and use this helical gear in a mini Stealthburner, but it wouldn't fit. So I'm hoping that it will fit into this, so we'll see. And then basically once you just sort of just check your work, make sure you've put it in the right spot, but you'd know if it wasn't, basically, because you just wouldn't get any further. So we then need the spring, the thumb screw. Now I thought there was a clear washer with that, but it doesn't appear to be here. So it says that we should have one. So where is that? It's not in here. Do you use a touch of super glue where the gears mesh? No. So if you mean this gear and then the corresponding gear, then no, you don't want any lubrication on there. It's just for the bearings inside, so that it's smooth, it's nice and smooth. Felt sure there was a clear washer, but can't seem to find it. I think I have some spare ones. Have a look. Might have one in this box. If not in here, then I know I've got some in another box. So no, I haven't got one in there. Thought I did. So what I will get out while I'm here is, obviously because the Fysetc kit I've got here didn't come with Stealthburner, I need some 50mm bolts, which is what these are. These are a bit crappy, basically. I will be replacing them at some point. So I know I've got some washers in here. Not quite the right one though. But this will do for now, and I'll have another look for the other washer. I'm sure I saw that somewhere, but I can't seem to find it now, which is odd. Very odd. I was absolutely convinced that I'd seen that washer, but we'll use this one for now. So it's thumb screw, then spring, and then washer, and then that screws through here and into this part. So this has got heat press insert in it, so this bit basically screws into there like that. Let me unscrew that a second. Okay, so this goes up this way, and then it will sort of tighten against. There's a small, not really, didn't show you that very well. This, between this part here and then this part, there's a small notch. You have to basically line those up. So I don't think that this washer is going to cut it, unfortunately. Where would I have put that if I took it out? I don't think I took it out. Very strange. That will have to do for now. I will have to have a look and see if I can find a suitable washer. Let me have a look actually one more place. I think I've got some gears in here. Strange. We'll continue on, but we'll have to look at that at a later date. So basically it's saying check your work, which is basically just look at the part, make sure it looks like their picture. It does. So we then want to use this part and one of these bearings. So the first thing it says that it wants us to do is to make sure that the bearings fit onto this, which they do. They fit on there fine and come off fine, which is the important thing. We then have to put a bearing into this hole here, and then really the best thing to use is something that's slightly concave so that you can push it evenly, and it pushes it into the hole, which is what that's done. Try and do it so you can actually see it. So that bearing's now in there. Next page. And we've also got to put the bearing in to this part, and this sits further down. So this can be a little bit more tricky to get in. But yeah, you just got to try and use something basically that's slightly larger than the bearing itself. I'm not really going to be able to show you that, so luckily the printed parts are really, the size is perfect, so that just fits in there easy peasy. We then want an an M3 sticks. That is countersunk basically. I don't know why the kit came with so many of these. Does the kit actually, yeah, 16 of them. I'm not sure what we're using 16 of them for. And the instruction manual says adding a small amount of medium strength thread locker to this flathead screw will keep it from coming loose over time. So we get our Loctite out, and then let me find the right size tool so I can hold it. Is this, and then we'll put a small amount of medium Loctite onto this screw, and then this screw will go into this heat press insert here. I don't know if you can see that. If I can get this going. It's not really the, there we go. So, does it really tell us how far to put it in? No. So, we'll tighten it down and then maybe come back a couple of turns just for now. So it tells us how far to do it. We then want to get our black or white, whatever sort of colour gear you're using. We then want the other filament drive gear that this time does have a hole for a lock screw. And we make sure we get this the right way around. So it goes this way around, and I'm just going to try and get that so trying to get some thread lock onto this is going to be really difficult, but if you've got a small enough Allen key that locks in, you should be okay. There we go. So we'll just make sure we're on the flat and just tighten that down a little bit. Enough that it won't come off, but it will still move. So this is then saying we want a gap between the inside of the black gear and to where the filament will run to be about 15.6 millimeters. So that is sort of this is going to be sort of impossible for me to show you, but about there. And we'll adjust this later anyway, so oops, it's moved. Maybe tighten that up a little bit. There we go. That's about 15 anyway. But we'll adjust that later anyway. So let's just put that basically on there. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So next step is to basically put these two things together. So we get our motor plate, which is this part, and I'll try and orientate it to what the picture shows. So this goes in to there. I'm just going to make sure that that doesn't spin nicely as it could do, and I think it's because of this heat press insert. That should be fine. Okay, and then we want this part, and then we try and work out which way I'm putting this around. Put that in front of me. That thing comes this side. So it should go together like this, basically. Oops. So, for some reason that's currently binding up. That should be fine, I think. Yeah, that should be fine. Because this does float about a bit. So, we basically now sandwich those two bits together. Then we want some M325s, which are, let's see if I can find them. There doesn't appear to be any M325s in this box, which isn't unsurprising because obviously this is for different thing, but I thought they were. We might better get away with 20s. Let's have a look. That's a 30. See what size these ones are. The prints look super clean. Thank you. They were printed on my sideboard 2.4, which is next door, and then there were some printed on the Fysetc V0. So we'll see if this 20 is long enough. I don't think it will be though, that's the problem. Where's this going? In this hole here. Yeah. That's kind of strange. How long was this one? 30. Make sure I'm putting that in the right place. Hold on. Turn this around. Can't really see it, but put that one there. So yeah, it wants to go in this hole here. we're also going to put one in this hole down here. So let me just tighten this one down and see where we're at. Yeah, I don't think we're going to about use this. So let me have a look in my stash. This one here. Not that one. That one. So we want some M325s, which I do have. So get some black to match everything else. Here we go. They aren't the same size. What's going on here? That's 25. What size are you? There we go. Okay. So this is a 25. Oops. Okay, let's try this again. So pick this up. And we want one in this bottom hole here. And then this hole here. That really just wants to be flush, I think, that one. So that should hold that together for us. That shaft moves quite a lot. What I'm going to do is just going to move this other gear slightly, which you can't really, it's hard to sort of show you on camera. Oops. That doesn't now move as much, so that should be fine. Okay. So we've done those two screws, so we go to, so we can check our initial alignment, which is basically what I've just done really, just to make sure everything is sort of where it needs to be. That feels okay. We go to the next page. So it wants us to put a piece of filament in. just grab a bit of red so that we can see it on camera. So basically wants us to put, we hold this way round, put this piece of filament down here. So insert a piece of 1.75 filament into the drive gear, check alignment with the filament inserted, verify that the filament path and drive gear is aligned, loosen the set screw, check for clearance. The drive shaft must not touch the motor housing. Make sure it does not sit above the. Make sure it does not sit above the surface of the printed part. Yeah. So that is basically where that needs to be, with that filament lined up. That lines up pretty much exactly, really. Okay, next page. So we then bring in our idler arm. So we've got this the right way around. So this is going to sit in here and slide into there like that. Let's get a screw into there. I don't know if you can see any of that. So I think what's happening here is that where we've put the insert in on this side, there's a bit of filament, melted filament that's got into the groove, into the threads. What I'm just going to do is basically screw it in from the other side, just so we can get rid of that piece of filament, or that melted piece of filament. Then we'll undo it, and then that should have cleared it out of the way, so we can then come back in the side that we're supposed to be. And then this should go in a lot easier, just like that. Do not tighten tension. Arm must be freely moving. So yeah, it's more of just a pivot arm really, which it is. That works fine. I'm not really happy with how this is feeling against the printed part. So I think I need to slightly adjust the tension arm. So we'll take that screw back out. It's sort of important to get it done at this stage, because if it feels nice and free and moves okay now, it should feel okay later on. We'll take that out. So it's just a matter of basically manipulating the gear a bit to get it in the right place. What we might also need to do is just push that so that it's flush. That goes in a lot better. Grab that piece of filament again. Put that screw back. Make sure that arm pivot's okay. No, there's still something not quite right in here. I'm not entirely sure what it is. It could be the anti-squish mechanism, as they call it. That's not the right driver. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Something just doesn't feel right. And I wonder if it's those gears. So what I might do, just see if I can see where it's rubbing. Something feels as if it's rubbing. It looks okay until you put this in. Yeah, something is not right. So, it's going to take me a little while to work that out. Undo this here. Okay. So this is the shaft all the way down to the bottom. put that screw back in again. Yeah, something's not quite right here. So what I think I'm going to do is put the sort of normal gears in rather than these helical gears and see if that makes any difference. So let's take all these screws out. What you do is we'll leave that on there and I'll use the ones that come in the kit. Put that back. So it does mean we're going to have to try and take this shaft out, which can be a little bit tricky because it's sort of pushed in. I think I'll take that off first. We can just push that out like that. Where's that bit of... Okay, so what we'll do is we'll swap over these bearings to go into this apparatus. Get rid of that. So it's basically swapped over this this drive gear, and then we'll build this one onto here. So we'll just go back a few pages. We've done that. We've put those in there. So we need to basically put this onto here. And we need to put a little bit of thread locker on here. Not too much. Screw that into there. Okay. Let's try and do that measurement again. So we want 15.6. It's probably about there. Yeah, so that's about right. And of course we'll adjust it in a second. So we've done that part. And we want to put that into here. And that, I can already tell that's better. So it could be that this yeah, so what I think it is, rather than it being the helical gears, is that this this black gear doesn't have like a shoulder at the base here. I think what's happened is that that's then rubbing onto the printed part. So we'll switch over to these just for now, and then if we need to change them, or if I decide to change them at another date, I can. We want our M325s again. Not too tight on that one. So we're basted back to where we were. And then we're checking the alignment again. And I can see I need to move that quite a bit. So let's get that. That looks quite good there. We'll just put that bit of filament through just to make sure it lines up. Yeah. This goes in here. Yeah, that's much better. So I think it's a combination of a couple of things there, but I think mainly it's because the black gear doesn't have that extra shoulder. So move forward. So the next thing we want is this arm here. That goes in there. How was that going in? That one there. We want another M325. In case we need some more out, I'm going to get a couple out. Then put a screw in this hole. Oops. So what we've basically done there is captured this arm So we can screw this in a bit. That looks pretty good to me. Page. So what we're basically doing here is increasing the tension on the filament with the screw. I'm just going to trim the end of this filament off. So by tightening this screw, we increase the tension on the filament. But because I think I need to probably change out this washer, that will be something I need to look at some point. That feels okay. So I got a slightly larger. Yeah, so I think that's about where we want it. We can adjust that later. So what I've basically done there is adjusted the anti-squish screw, which was that small M3/6 screw that we put in there earlier. So we now need a stepper motor, if I can remember where I put that. I think I put it in this box over here, yep. So we need this round stepper motor for Stealthburner. So we are going to need a M330, which should be this one. Yep. So we will put, for now we'll put the wire coming out of the top, I think, or should we put it out the bottom? We'll put it out the bottom, because I think it will be out of the way more later. So we then put a screw through here, which is then going to screw into the stepper motor. We can still pivot the motor. No, this is a Fysetc stepper motor. Basically, again, another thing that came in the anniversary box. So we want an M3/8 and a washer. So this might be a little bit fiddly to get in. You've basically got to go in the side here. And then if I get this, there we go. So we can still move that motor. We've still got some movement in the motor, as you can see. So basically what it's saying now is that we need to do the gear meshing. So at the moment it's not where it needs to be. So which way has it got to go? So let's see what it says. Adjust the stepper motor position so that the motor and extruded teeth gears mesh overlap with each other. There should be a small gap between the face of the teeth and the gear. Must not press tightly against each other. The gear should have slight play, should not fully tight against the pinion. So basically what you need to do is adjust this ever so slightly until the motor engages but it's not like right up against it basically. It's quite hard to actually sort of turn everything at the same time as adjusting it, but that feels okay. So we can tighten some of these down a little. That feels okay. So the next page is talking about some of these bits basically. So these are what will be part of strain relief. So we've got an M320, which I think were these. And that's going to go from this side I guess that's going to go into that. That can't be right. I think I've got it. Oh, I got it upside down. No, that doesn't seem quite right to me. Go down a page. Okay, so this, yeah, we definitely don't want an M320. I would say that that is an M38 because this is for the BigTreeTech EBB 2209. So the parts are slightly different from what the manual shows. So let's just make sure that that lines up. a good way of getting that screw in. Undo this one a bit. There we go. Then we can tighten this one up. And then we want an M316, which are probably in a bag somewhere, these ones. And then that goes, so we need to open the door. Not entirely sure what this screw does. Yes, that's what that does. So let's screw that through. So this is the door that will cover up the PCB and stuff like that. And this is threaded into plastic, so let me just move this camera up a bit so that you can see what I'm doing and I haven't got to lean forward as much. So we're not wanting to do this too tight. But obviously we need to get it just below the surface so that so everything can basically go in the right way. I think you probably saw that, hopefully. And then this door can close again and still goes past here, which is the important bit. Then we need an M36. This is one of these little baby ones. So that goes basically like that. And there'll be, also like I say, the tool head board will be in there as well. So that's that part done. We can put that aside. Where should I put it? We'll put it here. Then the next part we're going to be doing the dragon mount, basically. So make sure you print the right part, put your inserts in. Right, so we want M316s, which are these ones, I think I said. So we'll need the dragon. So this is actually one that I had used previously for a short amount of time, but rather than basically get the new one out, I'm just going to use this one. And we have to make sure that we get this the right way round. So So I think it goes, I can't remember. I've just done this, well done. There used to be a picture in here that show you which way round the dragon went in the mount, but I can never remember if it's flat end that goes inwards or not, although this will tell me. So that would go on there. This is the back, so I think the flat end goes to the back, which is that. Can you confirm that, Graham? That if this is the back of the mount, then the flat end of the hot end goes at the back. I think that's right. What I'm actually going to do is put 2 of the screws in. So this says we want M3/8s, but we won't. The Dragon uses 2.5s, so I've got to think where I've got some 2.5s. Apart from the new ones, obviously. Where's my... there. Might be some 2.5s in here. They're 2s. They're too big. It looks the same, easier to see if the shroud was off. So if this is the back, I think it should go this way. Just gotta get the music going again. So I've just got pretty sure they're 2.5s. Yeah. They didn't give me any 2.5s in here, did they? No. No. Thought I had everything ready that I needed, but obviously I didn't get everything out that I thought I did. I've written a lot of PLA, and here the Dragon High Flow isn't great for that. So I may build mine with the Dragon Standard Flow using a Rapido in my 2.4. That's in progress. What fans are you using? So I'll just be using the fan that came in the kit, the 4010. And then I've got a Fysetc 5010 that I've modified already, go into the top of the Stealthburner. Let me just grab, I'm just going to grab the screws out of the other box. In my opinion, the Dragon High Flow is good for Play 2. You just have to make sure you actually print fast. A decent hot on cool on the hot end is great. People just don't know how to use it. Cables need to come out into the recesses, so bear that in mind. Yeah. So I'm probably going to build it, but then run some wires later, because I haven't fully decided on which heater I'm going to use. So I think the one that I've got is not going to have quite long enough wires, so I might have to buy one. So this is the little bag that came with the hot end. It would be nice if they gave us spares, but they don't. They literally give you enough for what you need. I'm pretty sure I've got some somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where, so. What did we decide? I'm just going to put this in here. One thing I will do is find. I was going to say they're torques, but I don't think they are. The heater and thermostat are short leads with some extension wires. Yeah, but I'm going to be using a tool head board, so I won't be using. Well, I probably definitely won't be using the heater that came with the kit, because I don't think the things will be long enough. So. What I'm probably just going to do is put this together just to show you it together, but then disassemble it and rebuild it off camera. Nearly changed the scene again there, so I won't look on what I was doing. So don't worry too much about that I'm not tightening this up like crazy, because I will probably be disassembling it. But it means I can get other things done. So that's that, Won't bother about PTFE2 for now. That's effectively that bit done. Oh, Richard's back. Hi Richard. So I had a little bit of a disaster trying to use this helical gear. Now I think actually what the issue was this black gear that I decided to use, because if I can show you on the camera, it doesn't have a shoulder on the bottom of it. Very hard to do this with. So it was rubbing against the printed part. So I've basically took that out for now and put the stock parts in. No, I don't think it's the new one. This is something that was in the anniversary box, but this is not a one-piece thing. This is the gear comes off, which I think is what you may be referring to. So I've got the Stealthburner LEDs that I've wired together. So we need our logo. Yeah, it does look similar, but it's not quite the right one. So we need to put this into here. What can we push that in with? I think that's in. So we basically need to run these LEDs into channels. So this one goes in here. Like so. And then it's going to come over here into this one. You have to make sure to get this sort of in square so that the LED goes into the right place. That's sort of right. I need to drop. Thanks, James. Enjoy the build. Thank you, Todd. You too. Thanks for coming along. Now, these cables are not the most flexible, so what I might do is try and pop this one out. That's just broken a bit of the plastic off. Where's my tweezers? These wires might well be on the limit of what you should use, to be honest. Don't get those wires on that side of the cable management. If I can get these ones in there as well. No, that's not right. Try and work out how I want to do this. I want those to go down that channel. So yeah, these aren't the easiest of wires to manage, but we'll see what we can do. We sort of will need to tuck some of these up out of the way. So that should do for that. Graham, you would have two options. You could send it from height in the back as has an output, or you can run umbilical. I'm not a big fan of the Fysetc CAN cable. Did I miss the question? Okay. What I might need to just do is trim this cable management part here so that we can get some cable up there. Maybe try and get this LED back in here. Just trying to manipulate this one wire to go the direction I want it to do. It's not playing ball at the moment. There we go. So this printed part has broke, so I may have to super glue this in at some point, but we'll do that once we know things are working. We'll just try and get this in here. The way it should go first. Okay, that's sort of got wires going in the direction they are supposed to be going, sort of. It's a little bit fiddly to tuck all those wires where they need to go. I think this bit broke over here. So there's now nothing to hold it in place. So we'll have to see how that goes. But that'll do for now. And then this bit, so we need to put the clear bit in first. Bed angle blocks. Bed angle blocks. No idea. I think that bit goes in. Right. Move the page forward a bit. But this might help with this orientation. Really? Doesn't look anything like that. Maybe it goes that way. There we go. And then I'm guessing rigid I intend to connect. Okay. Yeah, that's got to go in a bit, quite a bit more. There we go. This should be in now. And then we can sort of try and get some of these cables going in the right direction. So these cables are going to go up here. While these cables are going to go down here. Do one cable at a time, trying to get them to feed the way I want them to go. You can't see. Come on, last one. Okay. I'll be surprised if these cables haven't got jammed or pinched somewhere, but they should be in. Which this one then comes up, and this will be our plug into our board. Okay, what's the next step? Yeah, done that. So we then want to put this cable in, not cable, this fan. So I think I had it go in this way. Yep, that goes in nice. And that keeps the cables out of the way as well. Okay. So we'll see how well that works. I think the bottom part may interfere with it slightly. No, that should be okay. Okay. Before we put that in there, see what the next step is. Yeah, fan wire, done that. So we then want to put in our blower fan. Like that. Make sure everything spins. Yep. Now we're going to want to then put in the tool head board, which maybe we'll do. Yeah, well, no, let's put it in now. Why not? So, is that what? Right, that's not it. So we then want this tool head board to sit in like, let's see, so that cable is going to have to go down there. Try and fold these wires a bit. M3 6. So that was these ones. Which screwdriver? Which Allen key? This one, I think. Get this one started, and then what we'll do is we'll try and swing this up. Try and work out where I'm going to put this cable. I can probably go there. James, I'm loving the colour so much. Thank you. I do like the colour scheme. I think it was yeah, I think it was a good choice. So that's the tool head board in as well, and then obviously we'll have to sort out the wires and connectors and everything next stream maybe, or I might do that off camera because it's just basically me plugging things in. Done that part of the manual. Yeah, so this is where basically we would attach the Stealthburner now to the toolboard, to the gantry. But I think I'm maybe going to leave it here for today, and then we'll pick up from here next time. I want to go through everything and just make sure everything's done how I want to. So yeah, I'm going to basically go through everything again off camera, because it is a little bit difficult for me to explain what I'm doing and get my head around doing it. So I'm going to go through everything off camera up to the point where we are now, and then when we come back next time we'll basically fit that to the board, to the gantry. So yeah, I think we're going to call it here because we've been going for about nearly 4 hours. Yeah, so if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask them now. I'll give you a couple of minutes because I know there's obviously the delay, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that yet. I don't really want to print the whole thing again, so I'm probably just going to super glue it in place or something. I know you guys are talking about CAN bus and everything in the chat. So we just sort of, I thought I'd just put that together. You can see the colour scheme a bit better with how the body's going to fit, and yeah, I think it'll look pretty good. And then obviously we've got this bit of filament in here. Didn't you put the Z end step on, did you? The little thing that goes near the bed, you mean? No, I didn't, because I thought I didn't need that bit. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I'm getting a bit warm now, so I think we're going to call it there. Oh, right. Well. If you have good instructions, then you should be okay, I reckon. Obviously an eddy current sensor will basically takes over all of that stuff, doesn't it? So you have it'll act as your end stop and your probe. So thank you very much. Oh, I'll tell you what I am going to do while I'm here, if I can. Or not, because it doesn't let me do anything in this window. Let's see if I can get to this other page. I think my network might be suffering at the moment, shall we say. Even though it says excellent connection. There you go, Richard. You should now hopefully be a moderator. If I've done it correctly and not broken something. Yay! Right. Close that window. Right. I'm going to call it here. So thanks for watching, everyone. We got quite a few things done. We've now got the bed mounted. That should be good. The bed is now wired to the Wagos, and I've got the wires that would go down the Z chain connected to those Wagos as well. Made a start on Stealthburner. Come up against a couple of issues. I think that's resolved now, or it will be by the next stream. So yeah, so thanks for coming. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.